All right, welcome back to Narrative and Beyond with Michael Adekombi. I have still on this episode the CEO of Jobaman, Ore Boboye. And we're just going to continue the conversation from where we stopped. It's been an interesting one. So I recall that we're talking about being an introvert. And there is this myth that an introvert is someone who is naturally timid and can't be a natural leader. Being from the works, some of the works that we have done that I've seen and that people have seen across the globe, that you have transformed Jobaman into beyond the job board that used to be, so to say, to an organization that is impacting the youths with the right set of skills for the marketplace. Some are not even employees, some are even entrepreneurs, that I've met. And they have said how they've attended some of your programs and it has impacted them. So how were you able to do that? How were you able to become this leader that is leading this kind of organization that is transforming lives in thousands? I'm still going to talk more about those works, but I think you need just talk about it, for the sake of those who are introvert naturally and they think they can be leaders, or they have been misconstrued as someone who is timid and cannot lead others. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm a natural introvert. So I'm the guy that will walk into an event and most likely sit at the back, except in my parents' church. Yeah. There's a story behind that one, but it was so except my parents' church, I typically would just sit at the back. If I find myself in a new place. However, being an introvert does not mean that I'm timid. I am not a timid person, right? Because when I need to get things done, I get things done, right? It's just that the natural order of things is that I will most likely not be the loudest voice in the room at a particular time. But there are rooms where my voice is the loudest because I am the leader there, right? One of the things that is important, and I mentioned it, at the initial part, as the element of success as a leader is, knowing yourself, understanding yourself, and being clear with yourself. So, there was a task at hand, clarity of purpose, right? And the next thing for me was, who do I need, and what do I need, to get this done? So I got the backing of, our board to get some things done, and of course collaborating with them. So it was just not just an oral thing, all right? So I ensured that I had all the necessary backing to do what was needed, and also got the right team to get it done. The right team to get it done. So I had people around me that were louder than I am when it comes to implementation. These were people that, in fact, I think I remember there was a particular management meeting I had. I think it was way back in 2023. At 2023, very highlight here. We achieved a lot of things in 2023, and I remember I just looked at my management team and I realized that, one, I was the youngest. My managers were older than me, are still older than me. And okay, maybe one person is younger. And in terms of years of experience also, like years of experience working, right? There were people in my management team that had more years of experience than I did. However, it did not stop, or it did not negatively influence the dynamic, right, of work, because I did not make it a power dynamic, right? It was more for me a purpose dynamic, and that is, guys, when it comes to Jobaman, I know Jobaman more than you guys, but when it comes to getting things done in your specific field of work, you know it more than I do. Okay, so this is where integration now works. This is where we have to go. This is where we ought to go. This is our statement of purpose, our theory of change, and these are the things that we want to achieve. Okay, what do we need to achieve it? Right? And what do I? So that is when my voice is loudest. At that point of what is the focus? Where is the plan? Where are we going? What are the objectives and key results? There's this book by John Doerr, Measure What Matters, had a very huge impact on my life. Any operator, anybody that wants to be a great and amazing operator should get that book. Pretty much teaches you fundamentals of business that you need to measure so that you are not just doing fluff, right? So they know me. My team knows me. Already is always on the numbers. So you don't come to me and then say things. Yeah, okay. So what percentage of what percentage did what percentage, right? And how do we improve it, and what do we need to get it better? So for me, I became, so the moment I understand where my voice should be loudest, I then become this conductor of an orchestra. And that is part of what I'm always very fascinated by the orchestra, by the way.
Interesting.
In the orchestra, the conductor is the quietest. In fact, you don't
hear the voice.
If in an orchestra, the moment you start hearing the voice of the conductor, things have gone really bad. However, the voice of the conductor is the loudest during rehearsals. In fact, most times, maybe the conductor is the only person you're hearing for like the first 3 days of the rehearsals, because you are then going through the first principles and then going through the notes. The bass, the trumpet player or the violinist is a professional in that thing, in that instrument. Will do anything with that instrument. But as far as that piece of music is concerned, the conductor is the owner. And that is the dynamic. So for me, it is when we are planning, when we are rehearsing, when we're having those closed door sessions. Yes, that is when my voice is the loudest, because we need to get things together. We need to be the moment we agree that this is where we are going, and we are clear that, these are the 4 things that we are focusing on. These are the 3 things that we are focusing on. These are the objectives that we are focusing on. These are the key results that will show us the result of those objectives, right? Perfect. Then I become the coordinator, the silent coordinator, right? And then I stay out of the way of these wonderful professionals that are working with me to give it their best. And that's, for me, I would say that is the secret sauce, to achieving what we achieve. It was a combination of, backing from, the shareholders and the stakeholders, and also having the right team, people that are connected to your dream, and also being very clear with them, where we want to get to and what we wanted to do. So, awesome. Yeah, I'm an introvert. In fact, there was a time, funny scenario. There was a time whenever we're having management meeting, I typically would not sit at the end of the table. So if you're a random person, you walk into the meeting room, you will have to look well to, this is where he is, right? I typically just sit like very random. And the reason is because I want us to roll the gloves to get things done. And then when it is time to then say, so when say we have now done all the glove rolling, we've broken it down and all that, and we now want to say this is the stamp on where we are going, I sit at the end of the table. Because functionally, yes, that is what needs to happen. Guys, we have now agreed, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable to these things that we have discussed and these things that we have agreed on. So yes, you can be an introvert, nothing wrong with it. In fact, introverts tend to be analytical. They tend to be very analytical. They're into themselves, they're thinking about it, they're plugging things, they're learning from the person that is loudest in the room, and then merging it into so that at the end of the day, when an introvert speaks, it's always from a depth. Okay. It's always from a depth, and that depth is also from what they know and what they've learned listening to other people speak. So what an introvert needs, and what I was fortunate to have, was that at critical moments in my life, I had people that I was working with that recognized the depth of my knowledge and called me up. So it's important as an introvert that if you are in a place where that is not recognized, you will have to speak up. Because if you don't speak up, nobody will hear you. And that's the truth.
That's right.
It's a loud, it's
That's
a
right.
very noisy world, very noisy world, a lot of people speaking at the same time. So you need to speak up. No, but people are not mind readers, right? I was fortunate that at critical moments in my life, in my corporate journey, I worked with people that recognized that and were able to come. So even so, in the midst of many things, you just stop. All right, I would like to hear you speak. Right? What do you have to say? And that is also connected into my own leadership style. So there are some people that you cannot escape it. You cannot come to my meeting and not talk. I mean, they know. If you come to my meeting, you are in my meeting, you are going to talk because I'm going to call you out, but yeah, if you found yourself in a place where it's the loudest gets the ovation, everything, you need to find ways to speak out.
So that your voice can be heard.
Your voice.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. I want to ask another question to help those who are seeking jobs. Some people want the big roles and they're trying to break into it. They've developed the skills. They've gotten the qualifications, whatever, and all of that. What should someone who is trying to get the big roles? I'm not talking about someone who is just trying to get a job, just any job, just to survive. Someone who is trying to break into the big roles, maybe head of a unit or head of a team in a multinational organization, or someone who's trying to scale up in their career. A lot of professionals are at that stage now that they're trying to scale up. They're trying to get into the big break, so to say, in their organization, in their career. What should they be doing to attract some of these kind of big roles, so to say? If they're not getting it, especially in their current organization.
Interesting. I think the first thing is so there are two types of leaders from my own point of view. So there's a functional leader and there's a people leader. And there are two different things. People naturally just believe that if you own a particular skill set and you are very strong at it and you are the authority in that skill set and you have all the certification for it, that then the next step is leadership. That's not true. That's not true at all. I've seen really great salespeople, individual salespeople, fail as sales managers. In fact, I've had a situation where someone became a sales manager and then we had to revert that decision, and the person kicked back into being an amazing salesperson, right? So, but leadership is not a continuation of your
individual
skills. No. Leadership is a skill. It's a skill. So it's not that it comes with, it's not a rank. Leadership is not a rank. It's not, you are now, lieutenant general, then you become no, it's not a rank. It's a skill. And you need to learn that skill. Now, how do you display to people around you that you are leadership worthy? It's in your ability to let go. And it's very hard. It is very, very hard. And what do I mean by letting go? Letting go in the sense that you are able to actually develop people that can take your current job. So a lot of people want to be managers, but you are hoarding
knowledge.
You are hoarding it because it has to be you. If this other person now knows it now, that's how I'll be fired.
Not be relevant again.
I'll not be relevant again in the organization. That's not true. You should be ready to build another version of yourself or build systems. So in my own case, for instance, when I didn't have a team, I was building systems. So instead of asking me continuously for data points, I built a dashboard. Okay, that is the system. So that way, my time is then freed up to do other things, to learn other things, to do other things. So you must be ready to let go, as often as possible. I mean, letting go means you are developing people or you are building systems. That's number one. That's the first thing. That's the first indicator for you as that. Oh, okay, I think I'm ready. Right? So building people or you're building systems. Then the next and the most important thing is that your voice needs to be heard. So people need to know what is in your brain. That idea of my work will speak for me does not work as much as we think. Because your work will speak for you, but your manager will take the Glory, your current manager.
Hmm.
All right. I mean, of course, it's not that you are undermining. Don't do that. No. That's not
Yeah.
unprofessional. But you also need to start to show that you have. I mean, you've grown some certain capacity. To make some things to for your voice to be heard in a certain way or in a certain room. And there are opportunities to do that. The thing is, we miss out on those opportunities because we are fixated on just some few opportunities. We are fixated on the day we will be invited to come to present to the management team. When there is a town hall meeting that happens in your organization every month. All right. So don't be fixated on just those opportunities that you think that is the opportunity. No, there will always be opportunities for you to speak up. Right. There will be opportunities for people, for instance. I mean, I remember early days for me, probably we were having a conversation. I used to follow our staff boss then, and there's a topical issue, and everybody's talking, giving their opinion and all that. Of course, the introvert in me would just sit at the back but then there were some opportunities that came up that I was able to give a very decisive. I'm like, that makes sense. So of course it does. It makes sense. I have sense. So there are opportunities. So don't miss out on those opportunities to speak up and speak out, right?
And speak up and speak out.
Speak up and speak out. And then finally, you need the right people. When I say the right people call them sponsors. All right, you need the right people. So within your organization, you need to understand. And sponsorship is not just it's not an emotional thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people expect it to be emotional. Like, oh my God, I was loyal to this person. I used to carry this person's bag. I used to do blah, blah, blah. I used to even go to this person's house and run errands. That is not sponsorship. Sponsorship happens when there is an identified mutual benefit between the person sponsoring you and the person being sponsored.
Yeah.
Such that, because you need to understand that whoever is sponsoring you, what the person is doing is he or she is putting his or her reputation at stake.
Yeah, on the line.
On the line for you at that point in time. Now, the good thing is, if you do well, it's also good for that person because it reflects positively on that person.
That's right.
And it means that going forward, in the room that person suggested you, he or she has won a point.
True.
To say, yes, I identified that guy. Yes, I know that guy. Yes, I was the one that spoke up for that guy. Trust me, you guys may not even have the same ideals.
True.
Truth is, sponsorship is a mutually beneficial thing. It is not emotional. It is not. It is not, oh, I'm loyal. Oh, I've done this. Oh, I've been with this person for the past 5 years. Some people say, oh, I want you to be my mentor. By the way, mentorship and sponsorship are not the same thing.
They are not the same.
They are not the same thing, So it's important to identify your sponsors. And I mean, someone said Nigerians are tactical and not strategic. I think so. Like, we make very tactical decisions, short-term tactical decisions. And that's why we see short-term results. But if you want to grow within an organization or even outside an organization, you have to be strategic about it. Because it is that strategy that will then give whoever is sponsoring you the confidence to stake their reputation for you. I mean, my story about how I got into Jobberman, that was sponsorship.
True.
What he did was, I'm introducing you to this person. It was sponsorship. When I became CEO, it was sponsorship. When I became CEO, it was because you just have to be recommended. It's not by applying to a job board. That's not how it works at that level, right? Do you understand? Because you're taking on a critical role. There's also a trust, a token of trust that needs to be there. So the moment there is a recommendation by a trusted face, it gives good landing, soft landing, and that's what you want. So all your work will be there to then back you up. But sponsorship is what will open the door. That's right. So the moment you now show up, and you're able to, display, and everyone, oh my God, this is amazing. We're happy to have you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. What will you be looking for when you want to, or what do you look for when you want to hire a manager? For instance, I do career coaching, and there are questions that some of these young professionals ask me during sessions that I have with them. I have a number of them like that in different organizations across different countries that I coach, career-wise. Okay. So what would you, don't let me say, I wanted to say something, but let me just leave it so that you can be the one to answer the question.
Okay.
What will you be looking for, or what do you look for when you are hiring a manager for anything?
Right. For anything, yeah. I mean, for me, the first thing is self-knowledge. So I always ask the question, tell me about you. And it's not, I mean, I'm always very clear right off the bat. And that is, don't tell me what, I mean, I've read your CV, I've read your profile. So don't tell me that, but tell me who you are, right? In terms of, and and in that question, I'm able to pick up very quickly if you know yourself or not, because you're able to speak to your temperament. And please don't say zodiac signs. That's weird. But tell me about your temperament. Tell me about who you are. Tell me about how people work with you. Tell me what people would say about you, that people that are junior to you. Tell me what they will say about you. People that are above you, tell me what they will say about you, right? Tell me how you are able to convince people to get things done. Okay? Because again, leadership is there's a part of leadership that is proactive, that has to do with foresight, knowing what is to come, guessing what is to come. There's a part of leadership that requires planning, right? But the biggest part of leadership, especially the one that leads to results, is getting people to get things done. Achieving results. Exactly. Achieving results through people.
Others.
Exactly. So that for me is what I'm testing. So it's less, yes, I get the technical abilities, because you should be able to guarantee respect. If you are getting into a team and you cannot guarantee that the team will respect you, it's a big problem. And the way to do it is to show for that, yes, I have the technical know-how. So this thing that I'm doing, I'm not telling you to do because I cannot do it. I'm telling you because I'm looking at high level things. So I have technical know-how. That is how you guarantee your respect. However, the real work of management, which is why I'm hiring you at that point, or I'm interviewing you at that point, is that I want to know how you then get people to get the results that is needed. How do you cajole them? How do you encourage them? How do you whip them into performance management? When do you use a software? When are you cool? When are you generally, when do you throw the books out and say, guys, we're not, this is different, this is new, let's get this done. And when do you follow the books into when do you challenge status quo? And so it is in that interaction. And for me, it comes out of scenarios. So I'm always asking scenario questions, right? How will you do? And you will know someone that has done it and someone that is reading ChatGPT. You will know are two different things. You will know you will know the difference. So yeah, so that's for me. That's what I look at. So your ability to identify yourself, and you are very clear about who you are, because it is when you know that's when you know what you need to put in place to get result out of people as a manager. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. I'd like to ask another question as we wrap up this session. Are there times where you had doubts about your abilities or your decision as a leader, as a CEO of this kind of organization? And how were you able to overcome that and still get the results that you intended?
Oh, that's a good one. So I mean, for doubts, as a leader, it's important to have mentors. Okay. So there will be times when you will have doubts, and you just need someone that has worked the path
Mm.
before you, to just to tell you things. Maybe not what to do, but they will pretty much, they always give you an idea, right, of how to navigate it. And most of the time, it's always about your mind. Most of the time, yeah. So mentors have played a very, very huge role, yeah, in helping me in situations like that. However, there are some situations where, yes, I made decisions and yeah, maybe not too great, and the result is not too great. Don't lie to yourself.
It's part of the journey.
Exactly. When the result is not great, it is not great. Don't gaslight people into believing that it's the best thing ever. I mean, and that's one of the problems I have with maybe our politicians. I mean, don't gaslight people. It is not. The result is not great. And so for me, I'm very upfront. I'm like, guys, yes, it was my decision, and yeah. But remember, I'd mentioned how I end up at my decision making.
You were part of the process.
There was a process. So most of the time, when it's the decision made probably did not give the results needed, right? It is not just me, it's us, because we were part of the process, right? However, when it comes to taking responsibility and accountability for it, it is me. So we do town halls and at my workplace. So I'm like, yes, we tried this, it didn't work. It did not work, right? And we're fine tuning it. How now? What do I then do when we are rolling back? Maybe we now want to tweak it. We want to tweak that decision making. I don't go into gloating. And what I mean by that is, say for instance, maybe I had a very different opinion about it at that time, but I just decided, let's go with everybody. I don't go back and then say, you see, I told you so. No, because I was part of the decision process. I agreed also. If I was 100% sure, if I had all of the information and all of the details, and I was convinced in my heart, I would have stood my ground before we decided. So the fact that I also changed meant that I was unsure about a couple of things, and there was a lesson to be learned. And that's also something that I always do. Every single experience is a lesson learned. Every single experience. So my team, I always tell them, we did this campaign, it was successful, we must see the result. We did this campaign, it failed, we must see the result. We must see the comparison between the resources committed into it, the amount of work done, and the result that we got. So that, one, we do it better the next time. Two, we repeat it if it's successful. Three, we're able to train others when needed. It's important. So don't throw away your failures. Again, I told you I had a slight experience with a slightly different experience with failure, growing up. So when things fail, it's a learning point for me, a well-documented learning point, right? So that when someone because the thing about corporate is that sometimes we all develop amnesia, and then you are discussing something, and then someone has an aha moment, and then that aha moment is what you have done before. Instead of saying it will not work, present your data and findings. And that's that's the analytical part of me anyway. So I always come with receipts. Or yeah, so yeah.
Thank you. It's been very interesting having this conversation with you today. How has your faith impacted your journey so far? I think I need to ask that question because you mentioned from the beginning.
Oh yeah. I see the impact of prayer. Because of course I come from I have a strong prayer background thanks to my mom and my dad. However, one of the things that I learned very early in life was that prayer does more for you than for God or than to God. Actually, prayer brings you to a state of knowledge and connection. All right. well, God is always God with or without your prayer.
That's true.
And things that require hard work, require hard work, right? I mean, I'm lucky to see a lot of non-praying, non-Christian individuals that have trained absolutely well, successfully. So that for me made me also tweak my relationship with prayer and faith slightly different, such that I don't heap everything on faith and prayer. I do my part. I learn. I study. There's this book that I recommend to anyone listening, Grief by Angela Duckworth, I think. Grief. It pretty much, I mean, what she was trying to say in that book was that there's nothing in this world that cannot be learned and cannot be done excellently if you put in the time and the work. So there's that. However, my leverage to continuously have peace of mind, right? The reason why I am not into other things that maybe leaders in my shoes are into, right? To have a sane mind, because I mean, running business in Nigeria, you need to have some level of this thing in your head. Some people, resort to many things. Some people resort to alcohol, to drugs, to whatever it is, just to be able to like maintain, because it's very tasking and all, dealing with uncertainty, and all that. But what has kept me sane as a person without indulging in those other things is my faith. It's the fact that I'm a prayer person. It's the fact that I know that I have a system and I have a God that when I talk to him, right, things will get sorted. And I see that happen many times. Like sometimes I will be like, oh my God, it's almost month end. How far are we from target? Wow. And then something will drop 2 days before closure. And I know that it's not me. I know it's not me. So there's a part of the work that we do from the first day of the month, and there's a part of go to the river, throw your hook, the fish is there, or throw your net, the fish is there. That there are things like that. So it has really significantly made the journey a lot easier for me.
Awesome.
I would say that for a fact, that yes, my faith and my belief in God has significantly positively influenced my journey also, as a leader. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. What were your parting shots to our listeners? What would you want to leave them with?
Interesting. So there's this idea that I've been playing with for quite a while, especially when it comes to Nigeria and Nigerian youth, and even the core of what we do, for instance, in Jobberman, and why we are doing what we are doing, right? The reason to go the impact direction for us came out of the fact that we understood that unemployment is a wicked problem. It's a multifaceted problem. So it's not just a problem, it's a wicked problem. And to solve wicked problems, you have to be dogged and things, I also need certain support and some funds and all that. What I have found out in recent time with young Nigerians is that we are certified but not skilled. We are certified but not skilled. So even in things that are supposed to be, we are supposed to learn deeply, we are very particular about the evidence of learning,
the qualification,
than learning itself. And I think that has robbed us badly in many occasions, right? As a young person, I would say that there is no disadvantage to learning and to learning something deeply, to knowing things at the core of it. I used to say geek it out completely. Know things at their first principle. Right? Understand things at their first principle, because that's the only way you can tweak it. That's the only way you can make impact out of it. And it is down to whatever knowledge it is. What do you know about Africa? What do you know about your hometown? What do you know about yourself? What do you know about that thing that you are doing? That job that you want to. So you want to be a salesperson. What do you know about it? What is the traditional classroom things that you know about that thing? Right? And then again, another thing that I found that and I think is important for us to learn, as people and as young people, and because I'm still young, I believe, is that we are surrounded by value and system that would give us the kind of results we need to get. But because we are being trained in a certain way, or we are fixated to a certain type of result, we miss them. And what do I mean? So I was listening to a particular lecturer. So she mentioned that I think she's a lecturer of business management or something. So she said around that class, there used to be these women that hawk things, right? Around that class. And she's teaching business, management and all that. So she tasked our students. So she first asked our students to pick out what they think they can learn from these women. And the students were so dismissive. Like, these people, they didn't go to school, they are untaught. Like, they don't have, formal education. All right. But upon digging further with these people, the students realized that all the principles that they were being taught in class are the principles that these women were displaying already. E.g., finding your unique, your unique solution. What they are selling is their unique solution. Finding the right market. So they did market analysis and they realized that there's a cluster of their potential clients or customers that attends this class at this particular time. And what they have done is they have done a bit of marketing to display their wares in a certain way. Because you are going to go and you will step out and buy their things.
You pass that place.
So they've done marketing, they've done market research, and they've done placement. Right? And they also had the right pricing. So they've done like pricing market analysis. Okay. The only difference is that they don't have those fancy words that you have, put into it. What am I saying? What I'm saying to any young person is that you see that thing that just works in your environment. That thing that just works, right? In this our chaotic environment. If you take time to study it, right, you will unlock even more value. You will unlock a lot of value. I mean, I know that if we unpack, there's like what I'm saying is like very packed.
Yeah.
But let us not overlook the learning opportunities around us. That is my parting word.
Thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation with you today. I'm sure that we're still going to bring you back again so that we can explore, because there are so many questions that we don't need to get to concerning your works, some of the partnership that your man has with MasterCard Foundation, and some of the amazing work that you're doing in the developmental space. We've not been able to even talk about that at all. We've not been able to talk about, in fact, one of the things that I thought I'll be able to take you through, or the questions I was hoping that I was going to take you through, would be questions about AI, and all of that, and how it's brought about interruption in the marketplace and things, around that conversation. We're still going to bring you back again very soon. So listeners, I believe that you've been inspired. You've been imparted today with this conversation with Honorable Boye. And thank you for watching. And this is Narrative and Beyond with Michael Adekombi. You can please subscribe to this channel on YouTube, especially, where you can watch the full episode, of this conversation and other conversations with other professionals and achievers across the globe as we're bringing them to your screen. You can just look for Narratives and Beyond together, just one word, Narrative and Beyond, on YouTube to subscribe, so that you can always watch as we drop them on your screen. Thank you until we come to your screen again. And my name is Michael Adekombi. And I want to say thank you to the amazing team that I have behind the behind the camera. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ore, for
so
coming
much.
on this platform. Till we meet again, this is Michael Adekombi again, saying bye for now.